welcome to my channel. I'm going to jump right into the video. Today I am making soap, and as you can see I have my cocoa butter already inside of the bowl. I am not going to melt my butters because I used a heat transfer method, which means I use the heat from the lye to melt my butters. So I'm going to go ahead and do that now. I do use a glass bowl, and because I don't want the glass to be too hot while I'm making the soap, I do like to pour just about 1/3 of the oil that I'm going to use when soaping into it before I pour the lye in, so that way once the lye is actually in, it's just not too hot. And then you'll see after the butters melt, I'll add the rest of the oil in. That's not something that you have to do. I just like to do it just as an extra step. So all of the cocoa butter is just about melted, so you're gonna see me add in my oil right now, and you're also gonna see exactly where I messed up. Usually I add the coconut oil in its solid form to the bowl before I add in the lye. It was in its liquid form and I just was not paying too much attention to the timing, so the coconut oil started to solidify again. So you'll see that there's chunks in there, but luckily for me, because my lye is still warm, it's going to quickly melt that coconut oil, and it's because coconut just doesn't have a high heating point. It'll melt fairly quickly. So even though this lye is almost close to room temperature, it's still hot enough to melt the oil, so I was able to save this batch. Alright, and now that everything is fully melted, it's time to move on to our stick blender, just to go ahead and get the lye and the oils incorporated together and force saponification. What I like to do is use the blender and just blend under the surface, and then stop blending and use the blender as like a mixing tool to just stir the batter around. The bars I'm currently making is my meant to be bar, which is made with activated charcoal. So it is a detox bar, but it is a really good one, and you're going to see me separate the batter into the bowl that does have the activated charcoal in it, and then I'm going to get that blended a little before adding my essential oils into both the smaller bowl and the bigger bowl. You're going to see me add in a white pigment here, which will take this from a yellow base to a white base. So once I add the activated charcoal portion back in, it'll have a good balance. And now I'm just adding in the essential oil, which is peppermint oil, adding it both to the white base and then also the activated charcoal. You may see me lift up the blender a few times outside of the batter, and that's just for me to check to see what trace I'm at. Is it still at thin trace? Am I getting thicker? Because I don't want to be too thick since I want to add the charcoal back into this main base. So it is a little bit out of frame here, but what I'm doing is just blending in the essential oil to that charcoal base using the hand blender. So I'm doing the same exact thing. So everything is now at a thick enough trace for me to pour it, but thin enough for me to swirl it. I'm doing a in the bowl swirl. So this is my favorite part. A lot of people's favorite part is, decorating the top, but me just pouring it into the mold, that's my favorite, even though I may spill it, because that happens a lot. just gonna go around, probably clean up the sides of that a little bit, and then this does have to sit a little before I decorate the top, but other than that, this soap is done and will be sold in 5 weeks. Thank you all for watching. I hope that you subscribe, and remember, self-care is never selfish.